Yo, 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 it's MIA Radio.
Yes, we are back for another one.
Episode 107.
107. 107.
There you go, 107.
Special guest in the building.
We got a special guest in the
one
building.
and only Miami staple.
Miami
legend.
staple. We're gonna get into it. I need to know. I wanted to have him on because I want to know his origin story.
Oh man, it goes deep.
Well, let's cut them already. We're cutting.
Yeah. DJ A-Train.
A-Train in the building. Yes.
Let's give it up for A-Train.
What's up, fellas?
What's good, brother?
What's up, listeners?
But yeah, like I said, I was talking to Kaz earlier. I'm like, yo, ever since I met A-Train, he's just always been DJing. Like I just saw him one time at a club. And he's been like the guy killing it, but I never knew where you came from because I'm pretty sure you're not from Miami,
right?
So I was always like, "Yo, where is he from?" He's just always been at it, but like you've been doing it consistently at like a high level for so long. But I didn't know where. Like I know you weren't in the all ages out here and stuff like that. So.
No. I came here from Gainesville when I was like 22, I guess. Okay. So I grew up in Gainesville. My family's from New York. My parents born and raised in the Bronx. And then they became like traveling hippies, basically. Had my 3 siblings. Ended up in Tennessee on a big like hippie commune. They call it an intentional living community.
Oh, like legitimate hippies.
But yeah, no, this was like, the biggest, if I'm not mistaken, the biggest and most successful like in our history at that time.
Wow.
Crazy.
So was born there and then moved to Gainesville, like right after I was born, basically.
So how was it growing up with a traveling hippie family like
that? At that point, we had settled in Gainesville.
Okay.
With a bunch of other families, and it was like a cool scene there. You know, it's like a college town, but people don't know it was also like a big hippie town.
Yeah, I never heard of that.
There's, at the time there was a huge music scene there, so like. There's always been a really big punk rock scene in Gainesville, but there was also like tons of live hip hop bands, and the DJ scene was huge, like techno clubs. Simon's,
right?
Was like super
I think
famous.
I played there once.
So back in the day, Simon's was like world famous destination for DJs in the U.S.
Crazy.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it was like a spot. I mean, I've heard of the more current ones, and a lot of my childhood friends went to UF, so like I'm familiar with that and the hippies. And I've gone to Gainesville, and like one time they took us to like a kind of like, what is it, the Mellow Mushroom Pizza, but like some random Gainesville version, and like we sat in somebody's like backyard with like tomatoes and everything and shit. So I mean, Gainesville is crazy. Like
it's a real diverse town. It's got total like country people that have been there forever. Huge college town, obviously,
right.
So anyhow, we settled in Gainesville, grew up DJing there, which is like college scene. So, at the time, actually, it's a deep story. I went to high school in Japan.
What?
Like most of high school is in Japan, basically. So I left Gainesville. My dad got a teaching job.
Oh, okay.
Not like teaching English, but like teaching on the military bases. Like they have American grade schools for the kids whose parents are stationed overseas, like army brats or whatever. Mm-hmm. So my dad was a teacher working for the government's, like education system where they station for teachers around the world. Yeah. So his first job ended up being Japan.
Crazy.
And he took it, and we all went. And so I spent like 3.5 years.
That's insane. I remember you had mentioned it, and so crazy to me because I was in the military, so when you told me that, I wasn't sure, and I was like, wait, was his family in the military? Or?
Yeah, so we were civilian, whatever. Yeah. So my older sister had bought turntables and a mixer when we moved to Japan.
Wow.
And so then I started like collecting records over there, and then whenever she was home, I was allowed to use the turntables. Nice. So that was like my first introduction to it.
Yeah.
But I was also going to nightclubs at 15 years old.
Right.
Hearing DJs in Tokyo.
And the DJs over there
we had it in at like one of the one VIP club in Tokyo when it was it was like there wasn't really a thing in Japan. One of the students, it's a long story. One of the students from that went to the school at the embassy got kicked out of the school at the embassy because he was a trouble kid. Sent him to our school. We became friends with him. And he was like, the embassy was in the club district in Roppongi. So he grew up going to nightclubs.
Yeah. Especially like in the embassy, those kids are like
connected,
they're
the money, whatever. Yeah. So he became like, more or less the dealer for the VIP club.
Right. He was the plug
for like the movie stars and models and stuff that would come into the club. So he knew the managers and owners and everything. So he was able to bring us in. Like he was my brother's age, so I would go with my brother. And
you were 15.
Yeah.
And how was like you could drink or you could?
Yeah.
Wow.
Getting drunk on the dance floor, raging, and it was super open format dance music.
Okay.
So like Venga Boys,
right.
on that, but like they would go also into like Nirvana, 90s rock and hip hop, but like mostly up tempo. But yeah, so I was like, this is awesome. Started collecting records, and then when I was 16, my siblings had moved back to Gainesville, and I was like, I want to go back to Gainesville, but my parents were still stationed for another couple of years, so I went back. And my sisters became my legal guardians.
Oh, shit.
And lived with my siblings. And at that point, my sister was like, all right, now you can use the turntables when I'm not home.
Oh, wow.
Damn, door open. The most interesting childhood.
It was the summer, that summer that I moved back, I was sleeping in the living room until we moved into a bigger house. Mm-hmm. Sleeping next to the turntables.
Wow.
So I was just every day.
Just get up and DJ. And
blending instrumentals and acapellas, learning blending and everything.
You were going to school in Gainesville at that time, or you just?
I was finishing high school.
Oh. Wow. So you just literally slept by the turntables.
Yeah. And started doing house parties. And then my older brother from another mother, like the other family that we grew up with, he was DJing, had a Wednesday weekly, and invited me to open up basically.
Wow.
And so I was doing.
This was at 18, right? Or 17,
16, 17, yeah.
17, wow.
Dang, you did a lot of shit in your childhood. Yeah. You went living in Japan.
Yeah, it was a wild time. It was wild.
And how was it having your legal guardians, your siblings? I can't even imagine my sister being my legal guardian.
Yeah, I mean, we were all in school. They were all in college.
Okay.
So
you kind of had roommates.
Yeah, it was we were responsible. We partied too, but we were responsible. My parents knew that they could trust. That's how we kind of grew up. They gave us a lot of freedom.
That's dope.
So that we could respect it.
That's awesome.
Which can be dangerous.
Yeah, of course. Especially in Gainesville.
Yeah, Gainesville, if you have whatever addictive personalities or what city you're in.
Because they were going to UF, I'm assuming. Right? Yeah. Nah, I've gone there a couple of times to visit friends, and they
were all doing different stuff. My older sister was in acupuncture school, and my brother was at UF. My other sister had finished city college school, and they were all doing.
That's crazy.
But we were all it was a responsible little household.
So you were DJing in Gainesville, and then you started doing all the spots.
Doing just college bar parties. I was doing I've got my own gig was Thursdays. It was all you can drink $5 cover, I think. And
wow. It was, sounds expensive.
It was beer. It was Bud Light and Coors Light or whatever until the kegs ran out.
Right.
Bud Light, Coors Light. This is $5 all you can drink.
Yeah. Keep your cup. You get the one cup.
I remember one time I went to get a drink and it was $3, and then they gave me another one, and I was like, yeah, 2 for 1. I was like, nah, I just wanted one, and they're like,
I always order top shelf doubles, there, and it's the same price as a Wells.
Yeah,
a single Wells here.
You're paying $8. You're paying $12 for would be $40.
That's why people are raging.
So there's the Gainesville story is actually we had this crazy nightclub scene, that was going all night long, bringing in these world famous DJs, and then it was turning into raves, inside clubs, whatever. They eventually shut it down and made the 2 a.m. curfew,
Wow.
That was spread throughout,
Because it was getting so out of control.
It was out of control, yeah.
Wow.
So when that happened, they made the University of Florida Police Department had a party patrol because it ended up being a bunch of house parties at that point.
Yeah.
So then they had a party patrol that would go around and bust up
That's
house
crazy.
parties.
It's so funny. The party patrol.
Yeah, and like then they were trying to do raves and stuff, and those were getting busted.
Because that was like the big thing. Once the club closes, everyone lives on their own. So you
so all these houses.
Yeah.
So you just go to house parties. So then you figure out ways to do the parties, and it was just a big house party scene.
What was the DJ scene like? Like the open format. DJ?
It was hip hop and drum and bass was big. It was like hip hop and dance hall. And then like drum and bass and different techno.
And everyone was a student.
Breaks and house and stuff, and all kind of. It's like, I mean, it was a big scene, so there's a lot of just random. I don't know if everyone was students, but it's it's a lot of people in a pretty small town that are. A lot of them are partying. At the time, UF was always like top 3 party school in the country.
Yeah, this is early 2000s. Like so it's like.
They were winning every sport. They were all winning, baseball, football, basketball.
Right.
Like they were winning everything,
Yeah, this is peak UF.
So the parties were strong. It would be like
strong.
It was like a 10 kegger, 5 bander over. That's like how you distinguish the parties. Like how many kegs they have, how many DJs they have, how many bands they have.
That's crazy.
Like, oh yeah, I heard there was whatever.
Oh, there's a 10 kegger, 4 DJs, 1 band, 2 mariachis.
And they go like
the old Tom Petty house.
Right.
And they'll just go all weekend because then you have the tailgate for the games, and then you go
game season.
Everything carries over,
bro.
So that was a fun because a lot of people I tell them I grew up in Gainesville, and they're like, "Oh, sorry to hear that."
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, when I was there, it was wild.
That's crazy.
It was fun. It was good. Yeah. So started DJing there, Gainesville college scene, house parties, bars, and shit. And then finished like a bit of schooling where I was like didn't know what I wanted to do next. And I was like a bunch of my friends moved out to Tahoe to be like ski bums for the winter. They rented a 5-bedroom house. They're like, we got a bedroom open if you want to come out. I was like, sure. So I was a ski bum for like a winter.
That's most interesting man.
There we go. This is that episode.
Actually, the end of the season in the spring, I had an accident snowboarding. It was like a fluke accident basically, and fractured a vertebrae. Oof. So then I was like, couch ridden for a month or whatever. And then instead of staying, I ended up coming back to Gainesville, doing more school, figuring out what I was going to do next. And I was like, at that point, deciding between like the technical schools, Full Sail,
right,
whatever, which at the time was like whatever $30,000 for like an 18-month program. And I was like, I don't even know if like that's really what I want to do. Like I like DJing, but I was like, maybe I want to do studio stuff. So then I heard about the Miami-Dade community college recording, like music business and production program, and I had Florida Bright Future scholarship that paid for everything. So I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Fuck it, might as well go do this 2-year program for free. Teaches you like a little bit of everything. See if I really want to do recording or what, and I could go to Full Sail if I'm really like into it or whatever.
Right.
So I came to Miami. That's how I came to Miami basically. And I was deciding between like Tampa, Miami, and I don't know, California was like my ultimate plan. San Francisco. So I was like, I'll go to Miami.
I can see you in
Cali.
Hippie,
that's like hippie heaven.
I can see you.
That's like the capital of hippie.
A bunch of people out there. So I was like, I'll come to Miami. I'll do this schooling. I'll establish myself as a DJ. If I don't do the recording school and stuff like that, I'll establish myself as a DJ and then move out to San Francisco with like, a small name as like this DJ from Miami. So I'm not just going out there like as a nobody or whatever.
Right.
So came to Miami, did the schooling, decided I wanted to be a DJ. I could do recording and studio stuff later, if I wanted to. And started building my name as a DJ. And then like,
what was the first
San Francisco
gig?
was like,
not an
like, why go?
Yeah. What was the first gig you got out here?
It was, the first gigs was like young Jewish professionals at a mansion off of Craigslist, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, didn't know anybody.
Yeah, let's get into like the come up because
so that was I started doing these young Jewish, which was kind of lit. It was like, they weren't paying. I don't think they were paying me barely anything. I don't remember how much it was.
And what year was that when you came down here?
Let's see, it was 16 years ago.
Sheesh.
Ka5.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's peak Miami.
So yeah, it was like found these like young professional, whatever it was, these mansion parties.
You were looking them up yourself?
What's that?
You were looking them up like
No. I just this guy found me I found him on Craigslist or whatever it was, and he booked me and they liked me, so they kept booking me for their events, And I didn't really know anybody in the scene or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then so I started meeting people. The first people I met, I was going to the campus down in I was living down south Miami, like Goulds. Yeah, because I was going to the Kendall campus or whatever. Wow. So the first friends that I made was like Jamaican family, basically. So my friend Andre, now one of my best friends, DJ Busha, he was working the MIDI lab at the school, and then like we got to talking. He found out I was vegetarian. He was like, "Oh, my uncle's got a Jamaican restaurant across the street. He's got vegetarian food. You got to go try it out." So we became friends. I went over to the restaurant, became friends with his uncle, who used to be a DJ in Jamaica, part of a sound system. So he would have like all the stories from sound clashes and old tapes and everything. I go after school, chill in the kitchen with him. He cooked me up food. So and then his son, what is another DJ, Brandon Lee. He's now part of Black Chinese. He had his own sound at the time.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard of Brandon Lee.
Yeah, I had him at Ladies' Night and stuff. So yeah, those are the first people I met. They would, welcome me, and like went to like warehouse parties and stuff with theirs. And,
like the real Jamaican vibe. Right?
Yeah, super good people. I was going and eating the food. We eventually had him at Ladies' Night.
Nice.
If you got jerk.
That was him. Of the legend.
Full circle.
So it's legend, like first people I met.
Yo, there was times when I would go.
Just for the food.
Yeah, people would tell me I'm just coming to get.
When I first moved,
when I lived, I'll still come and get you at the door.
Like when I lived in Brickell, there was times like on Tuesdays that I was like running errands or whatever, and I'd be like, "Yo, it's Tuesday night. It's like 10:00. I don't think I'm gonna go out. Let me go early, get food, and then go home." And
Chef Robert.
I wouldn't even tell anybody. I'd be like, "Yo, went home, got my food, and that was it." Super. They
used to Jerk Fest in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Big like stage show. Diary, DJing their bands and everything, whatever.
The speakers,
and then they have Publix would host jerk like cook-off competition.
Oh wow!
And he won 2 years.
Fire.
Which is like all the top chefs in South Florida could be in that.
And of that caliber,
so he's an award-winning.
Yeah, and then to be that caliber in Miami, where there's like so much like Caribbean, and I know that
their whole family,
and they're all like super dope. Strict. So
yeah, those are the first people I met, basically, and then like from there, ended up meeting Rod Deal, who's a photographer, and his friend Marcus Blake, who's an MC poet. They came up with the idea to start an open mic night at Vagabond on Tuesdays. And they invited me to be the resident DJ. So basically, I would DJ, and then we had like a 3-piece band. So I would DJ a set, and then the band would back up open mic artists that you could rap, you could sing, you could do poetry, whatever you want to do. And then we would alternate sets. So like the owner was really into it at the time. He like sounds great, the idea. He loved it. So we did it, and I think it was the first night that he heard me DJ. He was like, "I love what you're doing. We're looking for a new DJ on Saturdays. Are you down to try a Saturday out?"
Fire.
I was like, "Sure, of course."
And this was
Backdoor Bambi's Saturdays at Vagabond, which was like at the time, I don't know how many years, 11-year-old party, famous Miami party that traveled different venues over the years.
Right. I remember.
It's legendary,
Yeah.
So Backdoor Bambi was in the main room. Inside, the front room was like rock and disco and indie dance stuff. Fun. And then the outside patio was like hip hop, R&B, reggae, funk, soul, which is whatever, kind of good vibes. So he invited me to do Saturday, did it. He did great, and he was like, "If you want to do every Saturday."
Nice.
You ended up being there for a while, right? Off and on?
I became the Saturday resident for some number of years until eventually I moved on, basically.
Yeah, I think that's where I first saw you.
I gave the residency at the time to Wasabi, who did it till the place closed, so now I do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I started doing Thursdays because I was doing Tuesdays, and they brought me on Saturdays, and then they brought me on Thursdays with Shake Thursdays with Kello.
That I think that's one of the first
like
times.
A-Hole and Jason.
Yeah,
and
that's one of the first times that that's when I had moved to Miami, and I remember seeing you like working, and I think that's you put me on. I played Vagabond like once or twice with like Rob Riggs, and that was one of the first.
It was DZA and myself, but before that was Dormouse, who's now like CrossFit, like a gym owner, champion, super health. So him and the other host, they ended up opening gym together, which now is super successful. I believe they have multiple. But he was like underground, super experimental electronic artist DJ that would go around Europe and stuff, like with Otto von Schrock. Dormouse was like
his DJ.
Same. No. He had his own. Yeah, he had like just this. Yeah, super experimental.
Otto's wild.
Electronic music. Yeah, like crazy 190 beats per minute or whatever.
Yeah. And it's them on the mic like.
But then he was also a really dope open format DJ. You know, so he was there at the time, and I came in, and then DZA came in, and Rob Riggs, and so we all held that down over the years.
I remember going there and being like, because I was coming from the beach and doing like the club stuff. So when I would like my fiance now would take me there because that was like the cool shit, and I'd be like, yo, what? Like, how am I not even? Like, that's what kind of started opening my eyes to like, yo, there's more to like
Jack. Yeah, I mean, it's really, they were known for being the most diverse.
Yeah, because I remember, basically. I think I would see
one
like
of the most diverse crowds and stuff.
You were like Rob Riggs DJing, and then the other room where it was like just graffiti all over the walls, and like it looked like a broken room, and it was Mayday was in there. Right. I didn't know who Mayday was at the time, and they would just be like fucking tearing it up, and I'd be like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah, Vagabond was a wild scene. I started going with my roommate that went to UM, and like he knew all the exchange students or all the foreign people, so like for some reason I guess they went for like to see a DJ, or they went to see something.
They used to do that, show up in like a bus or
like some, and then they started going, and then we went, and then I was like, I think I've seen this DJ before, and it was you. And I remember like I was like, oh, I've seen this dude around, you know. And it's like me trying to break in. I think you were like one of the first. You were, and I'll say this, I always talk about this, like there's a lot of DJs that are approaching. You were one of them that, like, if I would see you drinking, I'm like bringing me a shot, and I'd be like, yo, what's up, bro? I'm Cass, whatever, click Cass, whatever. And you're always mad cool. You're like, oh, you know, whatever. And then later on we talked, and you booked me and everything. But that venue was different. I was like,
I had the 40 ounces, which kind of
before,
like now it seems like, oh, be tall boys in 40s, like that's cool. But back then I was like, yo, 40.
Yeah,
we won like best weekly party multiple times, best monthly party, the Get Low stuff. It was a great time. And the Saturdays were like, because it was on the weekends they had all 3 rooms open. Yeah, 3 different types of music, and you had every type of person in the club.
I think that was one of the best things. It was just like
you had like punk rock, like people with foot high mohawks, people with dreads, people with jewelry, people in suits and heels. Like cross-dressing, whatever, every type of sexual orientation was welcome, and like where people would, otherwise it just, like people were too afraid to do that at a lot of places. They were scared they would limit their crowd so much, if you had like any kind of weird sexual, controversial thing. But no, it was super successful.
What the crazy thing to me, like from being new to Miami, is that like, it's like when I moved out here, like I had been doing the big clubs and been doing all that shit in Texas. So when I moved out here, like most people just are driven to what was hot back then, which was the beach. Yeah. But then once you're in it, like Zea said, like once you're here in Miami, you're like in the cut, and you're like, yo, like that shit's actually not that cool. And then you start going to places like that. I remember, like, bro, going to Vagabond was, and like the girls that were there, like it was just like you said, everything. You would see like just everything, and people just having fun, and it was cool. Like it was always dope. So
you get all those people partying together in the same room, the same dance floor, and it was special for that.
Dope.
And where the beach was like the opposite. It was like, nah, we want this certain crowd, and if you're not fitting the profile,
and they were so scared to do anything off different, of that, normal track, that because of who they might attract or who they might. Dissuade from.
Yeah, it's always
like, I mean, sure, it's true to some sense if you have that like goal in mind, like what you want, your demographic. But obviously it was successful to do it both ways, I guess.
Right. So from Vagabond.
Well, so that was like my over the bridge life, and then on like South Beach, which I never really did that much. I started working with DJ Irie and his agency.
Right.
So that was actually part of the music program. Like it was required to do an internship. So I contacted them. They just started this agency. I was like, I'm a DJ, but I also do like whatever else, I'm good with computers and graphic design and blah, blah, blah. And then after I'd already finished the program, did some other internship, or just made one up or something. They contacted me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I already did my internship. I'm already done with the program.
Right.
But, like, I'm interested to work with you guys. But really, I'm trying to DJ, So, like, if you're willing to, like, put me in some gigs wherever it makes sense, and if I do a good job, give me more, I'm willing to, like, come and work at your office as an intern,
Yeah. What was the name of the agency?
Artist Related.
Artist Related.
Right.
That's right.
I remember, yeah.
So I mean, the list of DJs, I was trying to remember the other day.
I rember Chino.
I mean, the original was like Danny Days, Jessica Who.
Right.
Jessica Who maybe wasn't originally, but Mr. Sandman, 360.
Yeah.
There's so many. There's.
I remember Chino was there.
Yeah,
Chino came out. Yeah, Chino came out. He was like one of the hardest.
Bro, I used to get checks from Artists Related, but not because I was on it, but because he was getting so much work, and all these other guys too.
So he was the one that was like the most on it, and everyone just knew he was going to be successful.
Yeah, bro, to this day.
But the staff ended up working also with him with Pitbull and everything eventually.
Yeah. I mean, he's still.
But so I kind of got into a little bit of like the South Beach and like special events scene. I would take me to some of that stuff. Oh yeah, DJ E-Rock, who's out mostly in Austria and stuff in Europe.
Okay.
Miami E-Rock.
Yeah,
he used to be killing it out here, and then he just would go to Europe and then come back, and then Europe and come back, and then eventually he was just like not coming back as much.
Yeah, of course.
He's originally from Texas, but was out here, killing it. Super dope DJ. So they had a great roster of DJs. I ended up working my way onto the roster over the time, and he would bring me to some special events and stuff because I definitely had a flavor of music that a lot of the other guys didn't have. E-Rock was probably the one that was most comparable, like that could do like the kind of more eclectic, over the bridge type stuff.
Yeah, it was musically that was shit like when like new disco-ish vibes, like very dancey, and back then, same thing, like you were so used to that's when EDM was popping, so like to have that, and I remember just kind of relating to that. That's when I started working with Super Seed at Cafeína, and you would do Cafeína
Super Seed,
too.
Yeah, he was one of them.
He was on.
He was, and he was also one of the guys that I was like, oh yeah, this guy.
Yeah, shout out.
He's a hustler. Yeah, he gets stuff done, and he was on top of it.
Because he's one of the. I always thank him. He was one of the reasons who plugged me in a lot of places like Cafeína, and he was same thing. How Chino was plugging you, and he was plugging me in, and then it's like you outgrow the work, and then they just pass it to you. So. Yeah, Artist Related. Damn, I completely forgot.
Yeah.
I
was like,
I almost said the name of a DJ, and then like, y'all would have been like, no.
In Miami, I remember though at the time in Miami, I was like, damn, that shit looks pretty fire over there. What's going on over there?
Like the aesthetics of the brand and everything, obviously being under Irie, like.
And I remember I would go to over Chino's house to like chill or like pick up a check, and I would see his like calendar and like all his like dates and like all Artist Related, and I'm like, yo, that looks pretty healthy over there. Like, what do you guys got going on?
Yeah, a good team of people, and like, I mean, it was just a great experience for me, no matter what.
Yeah.
And Irie, for sure, like, taught me some
OG,
just some basic just stuff that to use, not like how to DJ, but like how to how to relationships. That was one of the most things important things he always taught me was like relationship are super important. And I was like, I knew it, but like he drilled it, and
you see it.
I didn't know it as much as I did,
and
as much as I do now. Of
course. Yeah, I mean, you would see it. Like, I remember seeing it. You obviously were around him a lot more, but you see like when he would go to the tables and how people just read it.
It's a skill.
Yeah, he's
and it's like
he's incredible.
He's really good at like just selling it. Like keeping the brand and living the brand, I guess.
Because everyone loves him. He's just that vibe, and he can walk into a room and like just be everyone's best friend.
Right.
Insta-fam, that's what I call it.
Insta-fam.
That's a good way to put it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Were you ever
Like, yo, fam.
were you ever trying to get into those big nightclubs on the beach, or you were always like?
I wasn't opposed to it, but I wasn't pushing for it. I was doing well, like over the bridge, I guess. Yeah. And then like, yeah, so that that was around the time when Wynwood was first popping up. Basically, was after I was like had some success already, and had my residencies, and then started doing Wynwood stuff like Ka5 put me on. I just walked in one day when they had opened. I walked in the afternoon. I was like, "Hey, I'm a DJ. Love to play here."
Shout out to Yvette.
Shout out to Yvette. Yeah, and they were just like, "All right, sounds good. Want to try this weekend?" Whatever. They gave me a shot, and they loved the music, and so I started booking and resident, helping them with events.
Ka5 was like so underrated, and nobody ever talks about it. Like people don't talk about it.
Bro, I had some fun.
Ka5 was, I mean, we all know Wood was the first bar, but Ka5 was the first like nightlife. Like not nightclub, but
it was
a lounge.
Yeah, but it was interesting because it wasn't a club per se, but like it wouldn't be packed. But you have all your friends there, and then they bring you out a bottle. But it wasn't like cheesy, It was just like, yo. Like,
yeah, they did it well. They had the indoor outdoor. They had the art gallery. They had food.
Damn, that's true, man. No one really ever talks about Ka5.
So yeah, that was one of the first spots, like in Wynwood, and so I just kind of was like, all right, this is cool. Just the whole Wynwood idea, the concept of like an alternative to South Beach where you don't have to deal with dress codes, you don't have to deal with doors, you don't have to deal with overpriced, vodka sodas and all that stuff. And the music, everyone was like, it was known that if you go to Wynwood, you can hear like a more alternative mix of music, more throwbacks, less controlled by the managers that are just all in the DJ's ear telling them what to do,
Yeah, because
thinking they know it's best or...
At Ka5, that was the vibe. Like that, I had so much fun playing there, and that's actually because of Ka5 is why I got booked at Wood, because I would make mixes at Ka5 or like that genre, and I was getting so into like recording the indie
mixes and stuff,
like the indie vibe.
Ka5, bro.
Yeah, like the super indie vibes, like indie remixes. That's when like new disco was popping.
Yeah.
So like to make those mixes and have that like. It was the vibe. Yeah. Ka5
That's probably the first place I played in Wynwood because I got it through you.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So I mean, then then it was Wood and Koyo and everything. The rest was history. And like, so yeah, I was just like ingrained on this side of the bridge. And then I eventually, through different agencies that I tried to work with or just like I did South Beach stuff, and I was always hesitant to do South Beach because. You want to do it because of the names of the clubs are world known, and it's like the big clubs, and like that's like ultimately, I guess, the goal for people.
Right.
But my understanding was always the managers and owners and everyone treats you like shit. They don't look you in the eye. They don't shake your hand. They don't put your name on the flyer.
Yeah.
They don't pay you if they pay you if you're lucky. Like they cut the pay. It's late.
And it was smart, bro.
And I was like, why am I gonna mess with
we were
all
out
that?
there chasing, waiting 2-3 months.
Why am I gonna mess with all that? And I was like, fine, I'll try it out. Got burned everywhere. I got paid a bunch, and then they would always shut down. And then the last few payments that you're waiting to collect, you never get or whatever. Yeah, that happened everywhere. Like I did it all over. But yeah, I DJ'd all over Mokai. I had a set. I was Friday resident at Set for a little while. Yeah. Was doing Mokai a bunch and. Yeah, all the different. I mean,
but you always knew that Over the Bridge was like your home.
Yeah, and all the owners and managers were like my friends. They showed mad love, mad respect. Never told me what to do. Payments always on time. Never like they paid me, and I was like not really telling too many people, but like I was getting paid the same or more.
Yeah.
At these spots in Wynwood than these guys were getting at the biggest clubs.
I would tell people that, and people wouldn't believe me.
Yeah,
people wouldn't believe me when they're like, "Yo."
I wasn't gonna preach it too much. I was like, I'm just gonna.
But it's crazy, like
no, exactly
the awe and the look of those nightclubs, like for DJs, including myself. Like I'd be like, yeah, like because you kind of came up in that, so you already knew. But I was like, I came up in the club thing, so I was like, oh no, like this is where it's at. Like maybe I'll go try that Over the Bridge. But like, little did I know that like that's
that
what it was
at the time. That was a lot of DJs was like, oh, I don't know, should I be like focusing on South Beach or Over the Bridge? I need it, and then all of a sudden it was, oh man, how do I get into like Wynwood and Over the Bridge? I'm like just stuck in the South Beach promoter scene. Like I never messed with like promoter. I never did any of that.
Yeah.
I was just like I was never like fake friends with any staff like to get gigs. I was just if you like me, you want to book me, cool. I'm gonna give it my best, and
old school,
bring me back. Yeah. So that was pretty amazing. And then like the traveling thing is a whole other story, which started some time ago. But yeah, that was just like the other part of my, I guess.
Yeah,
success.
I mean, you've like, I would say that our networks are pretty similar. We have a lot of overlapping network friends, and
throughout the country.
Yeah, we've done a lot of the same places and brought a bunch of different DJs and whatnot. Like we've always worked where like if somebody's in town, like you're like, hey, can you do this for me? And we've always worked together. So like you've always been a name in Miami. Like when people talk, it's like, oh, A-Train, the homie A-Train, always comes up. So
people always ask like how do you get into traveling? Like you just have to start, and like do a good job, be a good person, and just like keep going, and it just builds, I mean, obviously I was pretty much never in my DJ career like handed any like golden opportunities, like a lot of like I didn't have a lot of breaking moments where like I was just put on somewhere for some fluke of a reason,
And that one escalated to me.
You
hear the stories,
or just even like low key ones. Like that was just never me. I just always
Khaled didn't show up.
To work for fucking everything, which I was like, it's fine, but I never got those. So go traveling around and just start. It's just a chain reaction. You end up getting booked, or you meet the people, and then next time you go back, you get booked, and you do a good job, and then the next time you go to another city, they'll vouch for you.
I call it the cosign, and it's like it's a very strong cosign because like. If you hit me up, if like Cool or Trays or like Marvel, like these guys, these not like gatekeepers, but like staples in their cities.
Well, it's people you can trust, and like you want to get the off the record, like all right, can this dude really hold it down, or depending on the format or the club, can he hold it down? To what degree, whatever it might be. But starting out trying to do the traveling thing a bit was like a lot of gig swap, like people wanted like 1-for-1 gigs and I was like it was just kind of it didn't feel right, and
but it's always we can touch on this pause because it happens a lot, and back then in those days we'd be like, I'm gonna come, he's like, oh, so and so's coming from Miami, and then like the first thing they think is like he's gonna put me at Live. Like it was always that,
or like expecting like an exact amount.
But I got you this, so you need to match that. It's like that's not how it works.
Or like expecting like the exact amounts in each person's city if you're gonna get them a gig, and then so it just kind of always rubbed me the wrong way. And I didn't, at the time I didn't have too many places to put people on. I had like Caffeine, I could book you if your format was right, and then eventually like Vagabond and eventually my ladies night and stuff. But when I started out doing it, I didn't have that much to offer. I was mostly just like making it, and I wasn't like pushing it. I wasn't like hitting up dudes like crazy.
Yeah,
like,
and it's always book me. I always tell
it just kind of happened naturally.
I always tell people, it's when you communicate, when you talk to certain people, and then like, you have that relationship. It doesn't seem that hard when you talk to this person once every few weeks.
Right.
Like, hey man, by the way, I'm gonna be in so and so.
And you're genuinely friends and dope DJs. Like, and you respect each other. It kind of comes naturally. It's just like, I mean, I'm gonna be in Miami. Like, if there's anything, it's cool. If not, that's cool too.
But then it's also tough because like we expect to get paid a lot.
Right.
We make good money in Miami. So like you go to another place and like, all right, I'm not going to be able to necessarily get you good money when you come here, but when I come to your town, I'm going to need this much.
Yeah,
but they're playing in Miami.
But it doesn't. And that goes to what I'm saying. Like it doesn't translate, and it used to be an issue, but not anymore because like, for example, like I did one gig in a city, and it was a big club, and then they were like, "Yo, we fuck with you," blah 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 blah. The booker was a DJ, and he's like, "But what's up?" And our manager was like, well, what's up, boy? You had my guy. You saw his product. You seen everything. Like, you're being the booker or the DJ. Like, which one are you being? And they were like, oh, but I'm putting him here. What can y'all do for me? Like, I think
there was a time where like the swap game was like,
I mean,
it kind of fucked shit up for a lot of DJs, and clubs.
Yeah, because like it takes away opportunities, and it also puts DJs in that aren't really in the right.
But it kind of corrected itself.
And like no offense to another DJ, those swaps were just saying, "Yo, I'm like you're comparing yourself to that DJ," and like sometimes you know, these rooms in Miami, these DJs have never even seen or heard, or like you really couldn't, you know, like now with time we're a lot more flexible, the venues and the places and everything, but there was a time when you couldn't really, where, you know, a guy would come in and start playing like hype edits,
and it was they didn't understand that it was ballsy for us to put someone on at our spot.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like how it is.
It wasn't.
Now,
it wasn't.
Like, they trust,
you know, the old bartender that you know for 5 years that runs his bar.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's your homie. No, it's you're at fucking a corporate, you know, establishment where the DJ is part of the motion. You know.
Yeah.
So, but from there on, you know, you've built something that I've been wanting to talk about. One of the reasons why you're here now. You know, like all of us, we've all, you know, went everything with COVID and everything, and everybody kind of figured out a way to pivot. So you were telling me that I don't know how you want to break it down.
I got into like reselling basically. Yeah. You know, like it starts out like, I guess, sneakers or whatever.
Right.
Sure, you got them on the sneakers app and not for yourself, just to make a profit because you don't actually like them or whatever.
Right.
You know, whatever it might be. But that's kind of like just like how it works is, you know, it's something that you buy at retail that's desirable for whatever reason and resells for over retail.
Right.
You know, more or less. Or, you know, and DJ Beatnik out in Cali, San Diego, he put me onto it. He's one of my best friends, and he was like, yo, I'm doing this thing, and part of this Discord group, basically. There's multiple out there, but groups run by people that it's a paid subscription.
Okay.
You know, and the people that run the group post all kinds of, you know, things that you can go and buy and resell for profit. And it's a lot of limited edition drops, you know, that they're just like on top of everything monitoring, so you don't miss a drop basically.
That's crazy.
But then it goes way deep into like food items,
could be anything.
Home decor items,
just like the random
stuff,
like door hanger.
It could be something random. There's, I mean, the group goes really deep with a lot of different categories and a lot of different ways to flip stuff, and that's basically, I guess, the idea is that, you know, there's so many things you could possibly
flip,
make profit off of, and actually make, like, you know, a business out of.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's just figuring out how it all works between like eBay and Amazon and third party selling, and then like figuring out what kind of workload you're willing to commit to, you know, what kind of financial investment and like inventory and stuff you're willing to commit to.
Right.
And you just kind of navigate through it and see what works for you. Like I jumped into it, you know, not knowing when clubs were going to reopen, and then they ended up reopening like right after I jumped into it. But it was going well, so I was like, all right, I'm going to keep doing this. And then naturally just kind of got deeper in it, and inventory and just in the game of it all, to where I was spending like, you know, a lot of hours a day fulfilling orders, basically, like selling shit, like making money and being picky about what stuff I sell to get only like good, you know, good
like everything else. Once you start getting into,
like, you don't want no small profit margins. Once you're like,
it's a lot of work.
Once you're busy and you have a full schedule basically of like fulfilling these orders, you're like, all right, I need to like cut down on my work and cut up on my price and my profit. So that's where I'm at. I was spending a lot of time with it, it was cool. I'm like making good money, but I'm like also DJing 3-4 nights a week now, you know, and I'm also like full time, almost like a daily. I'm not day trading, but I'm investing and doing short and midterm trades, which I've been doing since 2017 basically. Right. I got into crypto, and then was mostly into crypto and trading and learning like technical analysis, reading charts, but also fundamental analysis, like watching the news, monitoring the news, and just everything that comes out in the
Have you always had like kind of side hustles while you DJ?
A little bit, but not really. Nothing like official. I've just always been a full-time DJ, and like my extra work that I would put in, I guess, as a DJ was like my international travel that I started doing, like planning international tours and stuff, and that was kind of like my I guess other thing, you know. I had other things like back burner ideas and stuff that I creatively was working on, you know, but nothing that was actually happening, you know. So when DJing stopped, I was like, all right, this is cool. I was doing the whole quarantine, being healthy, you know, trading, you know, more than ever, obviously, you know, just like everyone else. But I, you know, something I had already been into. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to spend more time doing day trades as well, you know, swing trading and stuff. And I was learning like gap trading in the stock market. I don't know if you guys know about gap trading, but where like a stock's price can gap up while the market's closed before it opens. Right. So you can monitor like which are the most gapped up, you know, like 150, 300, 500%, you know, before the market opens. And then you're ready like as the bell rings and the volatility is crazy. And if you really learn, you know, really short-term chart analysis, and you can make a ton of money. So there's this one guy who's famous on YouTube that makes like insane money. And during quarantine, the stock market was super hot, and he was making like more money than he ever had before. He was on a streak. He like live streams his morning trades. Some of those and he was on like a 50-day green streak or something where he didn't have one red day, and he was having his biggest days ever, like $300,000 days of profit, you know, where he's trading with a lot. You know, he's going in with obviously, like you know, whatever, thousands of shares or whatever, but all like, you know, $3 to $10, $15 stocks or whatever. Got it. But yeah, like.
But the thing about that,
this is wild.
You have to like sit down for a long period of times, right, in front of the computer.
Well, no, you have to learn the shit out. You have to. But the actual trading is done for just the first hour and a half, 2 hours of the day. Because once like 11 a.m. or whatever hits, like all the volatility cools off. All the action happens in the first hour and a half, basically. So he's literally working for the first 2 hours of the day, making thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. He was also giving away a lot. He's a cool dude. Just cool, you know, obviously he's like really good at it, has it super down with hotkeys and an offshore broker so the transactions are super fast, and it gets gets deep. But yeah, anyhow, so I was like getting into trading and trying to just figure out how to balance my time. I did some live streaming. I was also like doing Ableton tutorials and stuff. And, you know, so it's like, all right, I want to diversify my time and invest it wisely, not really knowing the future of when clubs are going to come back, assuming they're not or whatever it might be. So it was like almost every day reshuffling how I was going to invest my time. And then towards the end of it all was when the reselling thing came up. And, you know, I got into it, and then all of a sudden clubs were open. But I was like, all right, keep doing it. And it just grew and grew and grew to where now I'm like trying to alleviate the
had any
work hours.
Because I mean, up to you how much you want to talk. Have you have like an item that's been like when you get there, like do you have any crazy like
I have some success stories.
or I don't know, whichever.
I mean, yeah, some I could tell you for people who are like trying to consider getting into it. There's a lot of chance that you're gonna spend a lot of time and make a small amount of profit if you don't have the right resources to find the stuff, and then if you're not like I'm like tech savvy, whatever, figured it out. It can be difficult. It's a process, but if you just go through the steps and go through the process, it's not that difficult. And I got to the point where I'm making good money, and some. Like early on, before I was doing like Amazon and stuff, I was more like trying to find like rare sneakers at the Nike outlet and find deals that you can flip or whatever for profit, whatever stuff like that. Now I'm like I don't touch sneakers basically at all. Like it's just like
you think it's a watered down market? Or
all these like teenagers hustling for the same stuff. You know,
they got
it's
nothing
like
to do
to make like potentially not that much money. I'm like making way more on some random stuff.
But to them, it's like
right.
Oh my God,
it's like there was a sample sale in the design district. It was a Kith store supplied sample sale,
like a warehouse sample sale.
Yeah, traveling one. So I pulled up, and there was like Off-White and stuff that all sold out. A bunch of like the hot stuff had sold out. So I went through and I see all these Nike Sakai jackets, zip up jackets and hoodies and stuff. I'm like, those are hot. Like I know that's hot, like
Yeah.
limited. They were like weird cuts and stuff.
They they match the runners,
right? And those are all like hot items. So anyhow, the sale was like 60% off.
Jesus.
I went up on StockX, found a bunch of the ones on the shelf that had like highest offers, like for big profit.
Nice.
Sold them in the store before I went to the checkout and bought them. Bought a gang of them, and then like the next day or day after, they dropped the sale even more to like 80%. So I went back in and got the ones that weren't instantly reselling on StockX just to get. Ended up selling them all. You know, got these jackets for like $40 or something, $30 to $60, and then sold them for like $200-300 on StockX. So that was like a great find, but you know, that's just kind of random.
It's one of many, and you know, and it's those, you know.
So another one I can tell you about, because now it's like over, basically, is the Lady Gaga Oreos.
That's why
that's pretty much that's the one that caught me, because you told me this. I mean, you told me off the air a story, and I was like, yo, we gotta.
So through this chat group, I found out that there's these Lady Gaga Oreo cookies that were going to be released. You know, they didn't know the release date, but like the little mini 6-packs started popping up in stores, you know.
We got an exclusive
and those are reselling for like $10 a pack.
Wow.
So you could have 10 of those and sell for $100, you know, what costs like $15 or whatever.
Crazy.
So anyhow, it was unknown when the full packs were going to hit stores, but they knew it was going to be like a Walmart exclusive, basically. I happened to go to Walmart one morning, saw the guy stocking with the Oreo t-shirt.
Wow.
And he saw me like looking around a bunch. He was like, can I help you find something? I was like, Lady Gaga Oreos? He was like, oh, those are brand new. He's like, try back next week. They're not out yet. But I didn't ask him what
You're
day.
like, hey, can I get your number, bro?
Yeah, you know, if I was a real...
Right.
Like, people do that.
I was going to say.
People tip them, get their numbers, pay them off, everything. Stalkers. It's like Pokemon cards and everything.
Wild.
You know, all that.
Wild.
All the sports cards.
Oreos
so he was like, next week. I didn't ask him what day. I just happened to come back the next week in the morning, saw the guy again. He asked me if I was like, Lady Gaga Oreos? He's like, oh yeah, they just came out today. I just stocked the shelf. I just finished stocking the shelf. So I go over to the shelf and they're like glistening, like glowing, like just like a full 300 packs. I don't know how many.
Bought them all.
So I loaded up my cart with like 30 packs of Oreos, and then I'm like,
was anybody else there? Like,
no, they were. The shelf was literally untouched, completely full. So I just like cleared out the bottom rack or whatever. Took like 30 packs. My cart was basically full. I went to the checkout line, and then I go to look on Amazon to see what the listing looks like, how much they're going for. And there was a listing, but nobody had any inventory listed. Nobody had listed them for sale yet. They just came out that morning.
Wow.
You know, and I happened to be there like in the morning. So I listed them. I listed my 30 packs. I chose a price. I think it was $25. The packs were like
for this.
Yeah, $3.50 or they cost $3.50 or whatever.
And you put them at 25.
I put them at like 25. I was like, that seems like pretty high and good or whatever. By the time I finished checking out and got back to my car and unloading them, they were sold out.
Wow.
So then, you know, I started seeing them sell. I tried to raise the price, but it was like it takes 15 minutes for a price to update, up to 15 minutes. It was too late. They were sold out. I went back in, filled up my cart again, raised the price more and more and more up till it was like $45 a pack, I think.
Wow, bro.
Ended up selling off like almost 100 packs before other sellers came in. And then once other sellers came in, they lowered the price to have the lowest price, you know. They undercut everybody, and then it just got cut.
No one at Walmart.
In about people in Walmart. I tried to do like 20 packs so I could do the self-checkout so they didn't look at me funny. But I was like, man, I need more than 20. I'm not trying to go back in and out so many times. So 30 just picked like the cashier that looked like they didn't give a fuck about their job or whatever. I don't know if it matters. I think Walmart is not really against reselling as much, depending on the item. So. Target is, like, it's a big no-no there, etc. Yeah. So anyhow, so it was like a matter of, I don't know, 2 hours. I was going back and forth like 4 times to my car. and sold like a couple, like I don't know, it was nearly $2,500 worth of Oreos or something. So I made like $1,000 or something or more.
The one thing I realized during this whole past year is that there's so many ways to make money if you really want.
Yeah, but then I was locked up in my crib for the next like 5 days packaging Oreos.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, so this is not the move. Like, so like, the other way to do it through Amazon is Amazon fulfills the orders. So you package up a bunch of stuff in one big box, label it all individually, send it to Amazon, and they deal with the shipping, the customer service, the returns.
But you lose a little bit.
But they take a bigger profit,
Right.
But that's really where it's at, because right now, I got to the point where now I'm like spending almost every day, more time than I want to be each day, like dealing with
the other shit,
packaging and returns and customer service. Like, I don't want to deal with that. It's like, and it's a good, honest hustle. I'm making good money. But then I go and DJ and make like so much more in such a short amount of time. It's like, what am I doing? Selling.
You're always reminded. You're like, damn.
But I never tried the real other job. Honestly, yeah. I mean, I was always busy enough and successful enough with DJing. I never had the need to. So, but yeah, I see just how potentially profitable it is. Like, I saw someone else on Amazon that had the same item listed as me. Like, we were the only people selling a certain item. So I went and clicked on their store to see what else they were selling. And they had like 18 pages of stuff.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Of all the stuff that's at Amazon warehouses. So they buy it, package it up, send it off. And then it sits on the shelf in Amazon warehouse. I think after 1 month, you end up paying storage fee, depending on the size of the item. So it could be something really small, but where you're not having to like actually do too much work.
Have that
once
all
you
your living
ship
room.
it out, you don't have to have storage. You don't have to be like constantly dealing with the stuff. You just have a day that you go and you buy all the stuff, pack it all up, and then ship it out the next day or whatever, and then you're done until you want to refill it. So you could spend a few hours a week on it. You can spend a few hours a day on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of whatever you want to get into. And there's tons of free resources on YouTube and on just Google,
like everything else.
That's dope though.
There's tons of people trying to sell their resources, which is not a bad idea either. But
use your time wisely.
Tons of free resources. Yeah, so I'm like, I'm trying to maximize my.
Is there like
time,
a
efforts
squad? Like, have you seen like somebody at the same places like
for the Pokemon cards,
okay.
and which I've never had success for, so I don't really try for them. And the sports cards.
Right.
Like trading,
NBA. That's super hot.
So there'll be like gangs of dudes posted up by the card section just waiting on their phones. And so I'm like, all right, so obviously they know that the stalker is coming out. And then they usually like divvy them up between whoever's there. Or like, depending on the store, they'll only let you get 2 of each kind or whatever.
Right.
And I've never hung out and waited before. The other day I was in Target, like doing an online pickup order. And this like squad of dudes walked in, like single filed nearly, and all the security, like the people, Target workers, were making fun of them. They're like, "Oh, damn, that's a gang right there coming in." I was like, "They're looking for Pokemon cards." She's like, "Yeah, they saw this bald head guy. They think it's the distributor coming to stock, but it's not him."
Oh shit! Wow, that's the one you had to tip.
And then later, I see the guys walking out like with their heads down and some snacks in their hands, like wow. So I've never like waited. I met a guy one time in the aisle that was like, Thursday at 7 a.m. at this location. It's the only one in like South in Broward or whatever, in Palm Beach. You gotta come at Thursday at 7 a.m. They put your name on a list, and then they text you when it's time, and they come and divvy them up or whatever. And it's like, I think, I've never really messed with those, but it's basically like, I think $40 packs that you can turn around and sell for $150. More or less, you can make, give or take $100.
Wow.
So it's like good, it's good money. Like,
that's so insane.
Pokemon, McDonald's. Did you hear about those?
Bro.
Pokemon. McDonald's had little Pokemon cards in the Happy Meal as like the
those
toy.
are limited. Yeah.
So people were going like on release day and the first couple of days and convincing the whatever worker at McDonald's to sell them the whole case of 150 little toy packs.
Wow.
For which at $1, $2 each comes out to like $250 or whatever. Yeah. Most people ended up $250. Turn around selling them instantly on eBay for $1,000.
Wow.
People were
McDonald's.
getting cases of these things, multiple cases. I went to like a few McDonald's, the day after they came out, bought like just handfuls of packs, put them in one box as 70 packs, and sold them on eBay for $500 to someone.
You got patience, bro.
To someone in like Germany or something.
Yeah.
So it was like I had to go to a few McDonald's. It was annoying, It was weird, like walking in and being like, "How many Happy Meal toys
can I just buy the toy?"
I mean, you're getting Oreo.
Well, by the end, so then by the middle of the day, there were like 5 only. By the end of the day, by the end of the day, there were like 2 only. By the very end of the day, they were like, "You have to buy the meal."
Because they knew people were.
Yeah, people were flipping them. Yeah. One lady was like, "What's up? Why does everyone want these things?" And had her other employee like look at it. She's like, "Look this up on eBay."
Yeah, smart. She quit that day.
Oh yeah, one place I was like, "You got the boxes?" She was like, "Oh, my supervisor took the last one."
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's wild, dude. It's wild. No, so then you're like, you're. Then there's also like you're taking toys from children, the whole thing.
That is the least of my worries.
So when I got into flipping was Christmas time, basically Q4 as they call it, and in retail, it's the craziest time. So that's when I got in, and a lot of the flips that they were like suggesting were like these toys that like are for like. Not for like adults that have some fascination with some toy because it's a throwback, whatever. It's like literally kids really want this toy. Yeah. I'm like, this is a little weird for me.
I'm not into it.
Yeah, if it's like something that's a rich person item, then it's like, okay, you're just making rich people pay more for it. But if it's something that like everyday middle class, basically people are like trying to get for their kid.
Like the Lady Gaga's novelty.
Really, but like the Baby Alive, grows up toy that's like this doll that like talks and does all these things. It was like super hot toy. Right. Like I was like, this just doesn't feel right.
What was that toy from the Arnold Schwarzenegger?
That's movie? What I was. I've been wanting
Turbo Man. Bro,
I've been wanting to bring it up.
A couple of those.
Like and that's why I keep thinking of the movie. I'm like, damn.
All the way.
I can give you some current ones right now.
Let's go.
Mr. Potato Head.
Cause
canceled.
Because now
Potato Head
and Dr. Seuss.
All the books.
Dr. Seuss. So Mr. and Mrs. If you get them in the pair. It's worth money, and all the Dr. Seuss titles, those are like mad money right now.
Really?
Yeah, like a few $100s a piece.
A book.
Yeah, for
I'm about
any
to
of
go
those.
to fucking
I already looked. They're all sold out.
What about like?
That's why I'm telling you.
The libraries. Oh, yeah.
I thought about libraries.
I'm saying. I bet you.
That's a crime.
I'm sure you'll find some.
Yeah, all the stores, Barnes and Noble.
I'm about to go to Jose.
Sold out.
I'm about to go to Jose Marti right here. I bet you they have them in Spanish.
These are books that retail for $10-$20, and they're all reselling for $300 or so average.
That's insane. Imagine like those hard book, the ones that they had in school and shit. Imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. And then the potato heads are $100, maybe $50 to $100. Damn, you get them for like $5.
I gotta start monitoring the news. So next time there's an item that's like, yo. Or whatever's getting canceled, like
as soon as something's canceled. Yeah, I made a bunch of money selling Red Bull flavors that got discontinued.
I heard about that, I remember you told me that somebody else told me this.
So I just got a grip of them and then listed them as like a pack of like 70 cans or whatever, and sold for like
ultimate hustler, bro.
I think 30 cans I sold for $300.
$10 a can.
I got them 2 for $7.
Would that be with like everything? Like Aunt Jemima doesn't exist anymore. If I find some Aunt Jemima bottles, can I sell them for a bunch?
Probably super rare.
Uncle Ben as well. Super like rare. I got a bunch right now.
There's a whole meme about it. You can just go through the list and like just see what you can find.
Discord.
But I mean, most likely it's all just super sold out. And it's collectible stuff now, basically.
Like if we find out about it, it's already
late.
long gone.
It's late.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he's
kind of like
that's why he's talking about it.
Of course.
It's like kind of like Bitcoin, but not really. It's not too late.
It's like the edits you give out. They're already done.
Oh yeah, of course. It's like when I make the edits. Hey, A-Train's part of my Patreon.
New Patreon member. Damn. Ding, ding, ding.
I put up a new one yesterday.
There's so many ways to make money, bro.
Hard-earned money, well spent, right there.
So yeah, so back to DJing.
So you when the pandemic hit, you were DJing a lot during the week, like 3-4 times at least.
Yeah, I had like a lot of international. I had a Europe tour canceled. I had a San Francisco club date canceled. I had a wedding in Guatemala canceled. Yeah, it was rough.
But when opened back up, you kind of went
right back
right
into
back
it.
into
Yeah, I mean,
it.
I was basically waiting for Blackbird to reopen
Mhm.
because that's my only weekly. So I was like, I'm not gonna really jump back into it until that happens, and then I'm back in. And yeah, and as soon as that started, I've been give thanks booked every weekend since.
Have you
So
started to like figure out how you're gonna balance the flipping and trading and
well, right
DJing,
now, I
or do
mean,
them all at
I
once?
was doing a lot of legwork, like in the last months, and then this last month or so was probably my most profitable month reselling, and I
Nice.
put out the least amount of work. So I'm dialing it in. It's so complex. It's not complex in the way that you should be turned away to get into it, but it's so diverse and complex. There's so many moving parts and so many ways to do every single thing. That's like you're constantly learning and getting better at it, and I see it happening, and I'm like, all right, cool. It's a great alternative like side stream, and especially if you can send off you know hundreds of items or whatever to Amazon warehouses. And then you just watch the sales go through while you're DJing and while you're sleeping. Like that's pretty awesome. When I'm DJing, I see sales pop up
That's
and
the
stuff.
best feeling when
Like,
you're
man,
making
that's
money while
good.
making money.
Yeah, I also rent my car out on Turo. I have a kind of nicer car, so they're more desirable. But I raise the price up like all the time, and it keeps getting rented out. And now my car is paid for. I haven't paid. My car's been paid for the last I don't know so many months since
You
since I
Airbnb your crib or
just my bed.
I love the
Ladies,
hustle, bro.
just
Yeah,
kidding.
no, it's dope, super dope, bro.
Yeah, so like I'm all about. I always knew there was opportunity to have like multiple streams and all the side hustles, but I was always so successful with DJing. I never explored that much, and so now I'm exploring it. And it's like, all right, this is pretty cool.
I kind of feel the same way. Like for not because of that, but it's also because like I love DJing so much that I put 100% of my time into that. And,
yeah, that's the most.
know that
Yeah,
you're-
I like ultimately that's the one that's my passion and what I really love to do. I don't like enjoy selling cookies, but I enjoy making money, But yeah, it's like to have all those multiple streams is more crucial now than ever, and it's more popular now than ever. And like, so yeah, I'll be DJing. My car's rented out. I see like my trades go through some sell orders or whatever.
Everything.
And
Everything
like
hitting.
Amazon, eBay, I'm like, yeah, this is all right. This
That's-
is
that's
everything's
like
hitting.
That's
So,
That's
you
like when you used to log into MySpace and you had the new comment, the message. Like that's when you were hyped. Like
popping off.
your box was everything.
So like if
you know?
anyone's considering any of those things, I totally encourage you
Fire.
to try it out. Like
fire.
and if you need some reference codes, I got you.
Hey, there we go.
That's awesome. Making your money work
Yeah.
for your own.
If you wanna let the people where they can find you at, plug your socials, plug.
Yeah, I mean basically I use mostly Instagram at DJ Train. I got my .com DJ Train and constantly.
What's your
just kinda-
Discord?
That's
for the Patreon episode. Y'all gotta pay for that.
I feel like you could have a good some play on your DJ name with
Yes,
with
hustle.
that what you do on the side, the train.
Jump on the A train. Hey. Jump on the atrain.com.
Flip train.
Flip Train. Got
Flip
you.
train.
But yeah, I was doing live streaming and earlier on I hadn't done it. I was like, I was all over the place and didn't have my stuff set up, so I haven't been doing that. But probably just like
You're a full working DJ.
yeah, it's like at this point,
in Miami, and then it's in Miami.
I
nobody's
also,
streaming. Even Louis not streaming anymore.
you guys know I had a live stream over a weekly live stream about 10 years ago.
I remember. That's when we first met.
On Ustream.
Ustream, bro. That's why I first started.
I'm an OG streamer. I had a
watching,
weekly stream where I invited, I did like 60 episodes or something.
Yeah.
So I invited, so many DJs, all the homies, most of the top DJs in town,
Ustream
like
used to be dope.
of all different styles of music. Yeah, I had a weekly.
That's
live
like when
stream in
I
my
just
apartment.
had moved here, and I was like, "Damn, this is doing."
I had multiple
like,
camera angles,
everything. Yeah.
and actually, the last show was Heat were in the finals, and I pointed one of the cameras at the TV and got shut down.
No way.
And that was my last episode.
06? That finals or the no?
No, it was the second. No, the
10 years ago.
the second time around was
Oh, that was 10 years ago.
I was 11. Yeah.
Yeah. yeah, I had all kinds of heavy hitter DJs on the show.
That's funny that like that is what got you.
Yeah, I didn't fight it. I was tired at that point. I was having MCs. I had a host. I'd have MCs come on, DJs come on. I was like ordering pizza party. Like it was a good time, but it was a lot of work, you know. And I didn't have anyone really helping me out too much.
You got bought out by someone, right?
Probably.
They don't exist anymore.
Oh no, I think it's still up.
Facebook.
There's still like an archive of some of the
That's where
videos and
Rogan
stuff.
started on. Ustream.
And then they brought him over.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like so I've had my streaming days and I'm not opposed to it, but it's awesome what it's become. It's incredible what it's become.
It's dope.
And as an opportunity for DJs that don't have the chance to work because their city's shut down, it's amazing, you know. I mean, a lot of people are making a lot.
Well, Live It Up is the only one still streaming in Miami.
No, Bounce.
Oh, and Bounce too.
Killing it.
Bounce
he just
got
500,000 1,000 subscribers or 500 subscribers or something.
Killing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those. Bounce, and their setups are dope, and they interact. So it's cool,
Mr.
like,
Power. I don't know if he's still doing it. He had a really dope setup.
Oh, he did.
Doing the live streaming with decorations and everything.
I mean, DJs after listening to this episode should figure out that there's a lot of ways to make money.
Oh man, they're making money. Yeah. Twitch
not
pays.
just DJing.
Yeah, like there's a ton of ways.
Lady Gaga Oreos,
whatever it is, man. But yeah, I mean, I wish I was like. I'm super happy to be DJing in Miami and everything's going in Fort Lauderdale. Give thanks, shout out Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah,
but yeah, dude, I miss traveling. I haven't been, you know, I was doing like regular Asia and Europe tours every year, and now it's like I don't know what the future holds. I was actually planning on like living part of the year in Asia and part of the year in Miami, shit. Like and I was already like offered residencies out there. It was like this 5-year plan that all of a sudden was like possible in 1 year.
No plan.
And then to no plan, yeah. So it was like, we're seeing what happens.
But nah, we good. Well,
you know, it's funny. I jokingly put Amazon influencer in my Instagram bio early pandemic when I found out that was like a thing you could be, you know. And then before I knew it, I didn't change it, and now I'm like an Amazon seller.
There you go.
It's pretty funny, so that's fucked up, but yeah, I'm happy about it, man. It's cool. It's
so crazy.
It's unfortunate that people that don't have all the opportunities in DJing right now, but yeah, there's so many opportunities to thrive right now.
See, like people taking advantage of their time and kind of not like with a tail between their legs, like figuring out what can I do and now look, now you have multiple streams that are like genuinely making money. Yeah,
it's happening. Like it happened right before my eyes. It was like a goal and a plan, but I didn't have like an exact goal or exact plan. I just like went for it all, gave it my all, and it's just working. So it's pretty cool.
Yep. Awesome, bro.
Fine. Well, we appreciate you
joining us, bro,
for coming through. Thank you for the cookies. We're about to go ham right now. Zea's gonna eat like 5.
Well, we're gonna resell them, bro.
So price tanked. The other item over there, though, you gotta keep on the low. That's
okay.
It's a hot one.
Okay, well, we're not gonna say what the other item
paying the bills right now.
Hey, but A-Train, thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. It's MIA Radio.
And we out. Peace.
Peace.